Hey everybody, Carolyn Crow here from the Let's Cook at Casey program at the Casey Community Center. Back again for another episode of Let's Cook at Casey at home. Today I wanted to show you how to make one of my favorite bread recipes, one that I used to make every day for nightly dinner service at the restaurant where I was a pastry chef. It's a tasty 3-seeded bread that's actually perfect as either a dinner roll or a sandwich bread. Either way, you're going to want this bread at your Thanksgiving table. So let's get started. So to make our 3-seed sandwich bread, we don't need too many things. Now in the recipe that I'm going to give you, we'll be using all volumetric measurements. I still love to use a digital scale when I'm baking anything at home, and I strongly suggest that you get one too. You really only need it if you want your baking to be better and faster and easier. Whenever you're making bread, you always want to put your liquid in the bowl first. So 2 cups of water into my bowl here. This is about 115 to 130 degrees. 3 tablespoons of milk. That's just room temperature. So we'll do our dry ingredients next. You can see the way I have my bowl set up here. Everything is sort of in its own separate section. So the yeast is safe all by itself over here. It's not being touched by the fat of the butter, which isn't very good for it, or the salt. Also can break down the yeast and make it less effective. So the yeast is by itself over here in the corner until I can safely coat it in flour. When you're using instant yeast like this, it gets mixed in with the dry ingredients. Okay, everything's going in. Flour, salt, softened butter, yeast, and then finally I'll put the honey on top of that so it doesn't all sink down to the bottom. All right, we're ready to mix. Now, if you don't have a stand mixer, of course you can knead this by hand just on your counter for about 8 or 10 minutes. We're gonna mix this on low for 3 minutes and then on medium for 3 minutes. Okay, so it's been 3 minutes on low speed. I always taste my bread dough to make sure everything is in there. Specifically, I'm tasting for the salt. The salt actually plays a really important role in controlling the yeast and getting the best rise out of your dough. You don't want to taste a big old glob of dough. It's not very tasty. I just grab a teeny tiny little speck of dough to taste. No big deal. Make sure everything's in there. So stop, drop, and scrape, and then 3 minutes on medium. Okay, the 3 minutes is up, and we have a beautiful, smooth dough here. Look at that. That feels great. Now, if you're kneading this by hand, just on your counter or your bench, this is what you want it to look like. Nice and smooth and homogeneous. So it's gonna take like 8 or 10 minutes. I've got my 3 seeds here. Sunflower seeds, flax seeds, and sesame seeds, and they've been lightly toasted, and I'm just gonna pop them in. And then just mix on low for 1 minute until incorporated. All right, I'm just gonna finish it off by hand. So if you were doing it totally by hand, you would wanna sort of make a little well in the center here like that, and then you would just pour your seeds on. And then just knead them in, sort of fold them in like it's an envelope. Now this is the time when I like to sing a little song to keep myself busy. 10 minutes ago from Rodgers and Hammerstein's Cinderella. That one's a waltz. I like a waltz because it has a good rhythm for kneading. Da 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 da. This is looking really good now. It's got a lot of seeds in it. It's gonna be so good. Look at that beautiful bread baby. She's so happy. You want to lightly grease a vessel. A vessel, also known as a bowl. I'm gonna let it rise until it's doubled. It'll probably only take about an hour. What I like to do is cover the bowl with a piece of plastic wrap and then write the time on it so that I know when it started to rise. Helps me keep track of a little better when there's a whole bunch of different things going on in the kitchen. So I'll just set that aside in a warm spot. Okay, so our 3-seed dough has been rising for an hour. It looks like it's just about doubled. I think it's definitely ready to roll. And now we're going to divide our dough and do a second rise. So I'm just going to sprinkle a little bit of flour onto my bench or my counter. Pop it out. Look how happy it is. What a happy baby. A little flour on my hand. And then just very gently deflate it. That's just ensuring that it doesn't over-rise and collapse. You're letting it sort of start again for the second fermentation. As always, a quick spray in your pan. Better to be safe than sorry. You can just cut it in half and call it a day. I need 2 little 50-gram rolls. 53, that's good. If you were to make all of this into dinner rolls, you would get 34 dinner rolls. That might be more than you need right now. Let's cut the recipe in half. This would cut in half, no problem. Take a look at my hamburger bun video. That has a pretty good explanation of exactly how to form your rolls. Real quick here. I just sort of gently smashed it with my hand, sort of bunched it up on itself, and then flip it over and use the heel of my hand and then roll them into nice, tight balls. So beautiful and happy, right? So again, I'm going to kind of gently flatten it with the heel of my hand, and then I'll sort of roll it onto itself to form the loaf. So being gentle. I always compare working with bread to working with hair. When you're braiding your hair, you want to be firm but gentle. It's the same with bread dough. So if you've ever braided someone's hair or your own, just think of shaping your bread dough as sort of the same level of intensity. So I've formed that into a little log, and now I'm just going to get it into my loaf pan here. You actually want it to be a little bit longer than your loaf pan so that it expands to fill every corner of the pan. Do my second one. I kind of tuck in the ends on themselves if they're a little uneven. You can hear the little air bubbles popping. The yeast is releasing its gas. Gassy yeast. And then I kind of pinch it there at the seam and roll it and smoosh it and make it a happy little baby like that. Practice makes perfect. Okay, quick spray. I'm going to cover with my plastic wrap from earlier. And again, I'm going to write the time so I can keep track of how long it's proofing. And then pop it into a warm spot. And these little guys are going to proof right along next to those loaves. So cute. I'll cover them too. I'll start checking that in about 30 minutes. They probably won't be ready for at least 45, but I need to be sure to turn on the oven before they're ready to bake. You don't want to have your dough ready to go in and your oven isn't ready yet. So my bread has been proofing for about an hour, almost ready to go into the oven. I want the loaves to get about an inch or like a thumb knuckle worth above the lip of the pan. So it needs a few more minutes. My oven is turned on to 375 and ready to roll. Before these are ready to go into the oven though, I need to prepare the finishing touch for them, and that's a little bit of egg wash. Ta-da! 1 tablespoon of milk or cream. Ooh, it was a little heavy. That's okay. Pinch of salt. And you whisk it up with a fork. I'm going to use a pastry brush to apply the egg wash, and then afterwards I will sprinkle it with a blend of some of my seeds. These are untoasted because they'll get toasted in the oven. The way that you can tell that your dough is ready for the oven is when you gently press it, it doesn't bounce back. Now this bounced back most of the way, so I think that this needs a few more minutes. It's a little bit cool in my kitchen today. I'm going to pop these on the back of the stove so they're in a nice warm spot. Okay, so I let these rise for about 10 more minutes and I think they're going to be ready. I'm just going to gently press. Oh yeah, see how it left my little finger mark there? That means it's ready to bake. All right, we want to gently brush with egg wash. If you're too aggressive, you could deflate some of your beautifully proofed bread. So in addition to giving the loaves some shine and color, the egg wash also helps make our little seed blend stick. So I'm just going to sprinkle our seeds right on top. This is just a garnish. I want to be pretty generous on the loaves. I think I have a better shot of my kids eating it if I leave the seeds off of the outside. So I'll do the seeds on one loaf and leave the other one naked. So I'm going to pop these into my oven. So let me see, how long do those need to bake? I don't know. I'll let you know. Be right back. Okay, so my bread just came out of the oven. It smells amazing. So these guys only baked for about 15 to 18 minutes, I think. And then the big loaves took 35 to 40 minutes. I'll show you how to get them out of the pan. All you have to do is just gently run a knife around the edges. If you sprayed the pan, you shouldn't really have any problems here. And then we'll just tip it out. And now this little seeded guy, oops, lost some seeds. Woo! Beautiful. I'm so excited. You have to wait until your bread cools down. If you cut into it too early, it'll get all gummy and it'll never go back to normal. So I'm gonna let these get all the way cool. These little guys, I think I'm gonna probably feed to my little guys at dinner tonight. It's gonna be a different kind of Thanksgiving this year, guys. You might as well go all out. Can you just imagine having your leftover turkey sandwich on this? All of the texture and the flavor of those seeds and cute little baby rolls like these on your Thanksgiving table. I mean, come on. So that is 3 seed sandwich bread, 2 different ways. I hope that you guys are gonna try it at home, and if you do, please let me know down in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.